Welcome back. My name is Patrick Nolan. I'm an attorney licensed in the state of Missouri. This is Pat Talks Law. And you know what? I'm going to drop the windshield time tag to these going forward because I'm doing more of these than sitting at a set in the office and playing that game. Honestly, I don't like doing that. I like just talking to you about what's going on. And today we're going to talk about the second part of masks that we had said we were going to. What is the liability for not wearing a mask, or for corporations, companies that require them or don't require them? Is a company like Walmart in a catch-22 where if they require masks and they deny service to somebody for not wearing a mask, can they be sued under the ADAA for denying services to a disabled person because they could not comply with that requirement? You know, for example, somebody with an inability to breathe with a mask on, or a rape victim suffered significant trauma, or if they're demanding that the person identify what their disability is and their reason for not being able to wear a mask. That really gets into other issues. And is Walmart liable in that situation? Now, you're going to see people up and down both sides are going to swear that yes, Walmart is 100% liable, they need to pay. And you know, that's more because they're a big rich company that has money that can pay. And then you have the flip side where no, if your health is so bad that you can't wear a mask, you shouldn't be out anyway. Well, you know, the other part of that argument could be taken into the schools, that if your mental retardation is so bad that you can't function at a comparable level as other students, you shouldn't be in the classroom. And we debunked that horse shit years ago. Okay? So that is a ridiculous argument. It is an ableist argument. It is an insulting argument. And it diminishes the value of every disabled person in our country. And it's not one that should be accepted or tolerated. It is a very discriminating statement that if I can't visually ID what your disability is, you don't fucking have one. That bothers me. Now, I have brothers and sisters from the military that have suffered some horrific injuries, both just in regular line of duty and in combat operations. They have driven through that. A lot of them do everything they can to avoid talking about their injuries. A lot of them will present themselves as not being disabled as much as they can. You know, guy will be missing his leg below the knee, you'll never know it. He's walking around, you know, maybe a little bit of limp, slightly slower gait, but he's not telling anybody. He's not parking in the handicap spot, and he's not saying, you know, waving the flag. What he is doing is getting about his life. And God bless him. Okay? If you're able to, that's wonderful. There are people that cannot. With that, when you're looking at it, you have to bear in mind that there are people that have injuries that you don't know anything about. The lady that was held down, gagged, and gang raped for 4 hours. You know, who the hell are you to accost that woman going into a fucking Walmart and demand she relate to you the horror and trauma she went through? Okay? Again, if that case comes up, I really hope it crosses my desk. I want to file that suit. So, you know, for a company like Walmart, they are in a catch-22. If they're requiring masks, they could be sued. If they're not requiring masks, are they exposing their staff And is there a difference between staff and customers? Okay, which is also a good question. Let's stick with customers for the moment. By not requiring masks, are they exposing their customers? Would a sign at the door that you're entering at your own risk, COVID is out, people are not wearing masks inside, this is your risk, we're not responsible, would that be enough to protect them? I don't know, but I don't see that sign on the door to Walmart. So, is that actionable? Well, there is the increased risk theory. If we take the approach of a dog bite case, where a dog bites a small child in the yard and you don't know which dog it is, but you have 3 neighbors that have dogs that run loose, so you sue all 3 of them. Can we take that approach? Honestly, I think that if the case has a reasonable claim, a company like Walmart, not Walmart. Walmart doesn't settle. A company like Walmart might settle it. Walmart won't settle it. Walmart will fight it. And they have to. Otherwise, they're going to be eaten alive by a million lawsuits. But might they settle it for less than the cost of fighting it? Yeah, they might. You go in with a $50,000 claim, they offer you 10, you take the 10, they avoid the litigation, you move on. Is it right? No. But it works, it's effective, and it's how a lot of this happens. So, yeah, don't call me for that. I'm not going to get into that. But is Walmart liable for the increased risk to customers because they're not requiring masks to be worn by customers? I'm going to say no. I don't think that would work. I don't think it'll fly. Now, are they liable for increased risk to customers because they're not making their staff wear masks? Well, now you're getting a different line. What is their duty and responsibility to customers? You're in a classic property case right now. Okay. What's the duty they owe to their invitees onto the property? Well, they have a duty to protect them, to warn them of dangerous incidents. Okay? They can't leave that danger there any more than they could leave a hole in the floor and just say, hey, avoid that. So, is COVID a dangerous property condition? Is it akin to that? And if it is, then you have a different question. Now, I'm going to tell you, that is not my area. It's an area we're working into, but it's not an area I've been practicing in for the last 6 years. So might that be a valid argument? It might. I'm not going to do the research on this while I'm driving, clearly. But I think there's an argument for the increased risk that was not properly, they didn't properly inform and warn and caution the licensees, properties, visitors, the invitees to that property. And there may be something to that. And I'm going to tell you, if there is, one of the very large class action firms will be filing it if they haven't already. So, we have attorneys in the plaintiff's bar that are looking for these opportunities, and we'll find them. It's not going to be a small rural practice attorney that focuses on marijuana, criminal law, and family law, or juvenile law. It's going to be one of the big plaintiffs firms that's going to bring that. So, but there is a potential for that. If I know that there is a threat, there's a dangerous condition on my property, I have a duty to take care of that. I have a duty to protect the people I invite onto my property. Right now, I've got some wood from a project I was working on laying in my yard, and it's got a bunch of screws and nails in it. Okay, if I invite someone over to my house and they step on that, man, I'm going to be liable for their injury. Okay, so that is a safety issue that I have to be aware of, and it's not any different if the threat, I think, is COVID. So Walmart is probably not the best example. Let's go down to your barber, a very small shop. You're in there. It's a one-on-one. Okay? Is your barber wearing a mask? Well, if the answer is no, is he subjecting you to a higher risk? He sees people in the public all day long. What are the mask things going on? You're in the chair. Are you willing to assume that risk and stay? And are you assuming that risk by staying? This is where I'm going to pause. I'm going to say, like, subscribe, drop comments. Feel free to drop comments all the way along. You don't need to wait for the whole video. You can drop multiple comments. That's cool. But if we as a society are overly litigious, if we're going to sue for anything, the question also becomes, where is your responsibility as the person? Are you responsible for yourself? A lot of us that don't like the mask will say, look, it's not the government's responsibility to take care of my health. It's mine. Okay? I don't like wearing masks. I don't want to wear a mask. But I don't want the government ordering me to wear a mask. Which is kind of ironic because I'm a lawyer and I go to court, and the court does order us to wear a mask. If you go into court in Missouri now, you're wearing a mask. Those are the rules of the game. I'm not the guy in charge. We got to do what the court says. That's the way that is. So, on liability, are you liable if you're over someone else's house and they have somebody who's positive and doesn't disclose that to you? Are they liable? They could well be. There may be an action. There may be a claim against insurance. These are not rock solid, bright line yes or no questions. So if you are visiting somebody and they have a member of their household that is tested positive for COVID, and they don't tell you, you're over at their house, they're not wearing masks, you're not wearing a mask, or maybe you are, but if they don't tell you that somebody there tested positive and allow you to come in, they're subjecting you to an increased risk. If you subsequently get COVID, or you have to stay home from work for 2 weeks while you're waiting for your test to come back to show whether or not you did in fact get COVID, then you have suffered a loss because of their actions. That's actionable. So there's a lot of potential liability there, and there's going to be a lot of cases about this over the next year that will be quite fascinating to watch. So the short answer I wouldn't give you at the front of the video is, it depends, man. There's no short answer. It depends. It depends on, is Walmart liable because they make you wear a mask? If they're denying service, maybe. They deny service to somebody who has a disability and a reason they can't wear a mask. They could be liable. Could well be liable. Not for mask, but for discrimination. Could Walmart be liable because their employees are not wearing a mask, or you have an increased risk of catching COVID at Walmart? That's a much more distant question. And it's not an easy answer. I'm gonna say probably not, but there are some really, really sharp plaintiffs' attorneys that may well be able to build that argument. So probably not. Now, if you were invited over to a private residence and they don't tell you that somebody there is tested positive, well, that's a different story. Might they be liable? Well, they might be. We are doing an ungodly slow speed. I have to be in court in 24 minutes. Griping about traffic, yeah. So anyway, that's it. The answer is it depends. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, drop a comment, and I will be talking to you again soon. Thanks. Bye.